boss. Yeah. How many of you here are your own boss? Okay. So like most of you, I did the same. I want to be master of my own destiny and do my own thing. Do you know what happened? Every single time I had a problem I couldn't solve, the problem stayed with me forever. Then I learned the most important thing, which is if you're smart and you're an entrepreneur, you don't want to be your own boss. You want bosses. Your first and most important boss is your customer, because without them, you've got no business. Your second and most important boss is the person with whom you've taken a decision to share life. Boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner. Why? Because without that support, it doesn't matter what you're doing in your business, it ain't gonna work. And often you find yourself, and I've seen this so many times, having to choose between the business and the partner. And if you get to that moment, let me give you the best advice my rabbi gave me. Choose the business. Yeah. You can always replace the partner, but yeah, in fact, the more money you make, you get a better partner. Beyonce upgrade you, trust me. So if you can, get a boss. So I want to share a personal story if I can. About a year and a half ago, we were in the process of raising what's now our second fund. And I was busy talking to all of the global fund managers, right? All of the global LPs, we call them in my industry, the FMF, the CDO, the IFC, all of them. And they all kept saying the same thing to me. Who's your boss? Your portfolio looks great, your track record is amazing. But where? Now, who do you report to? Who's the person that phones you and says you're not delivering? So I had to get a board. Rough, Bazalwan, rough. I'll tell you why it's rough. Are there any CAs in the room? Any? Statistically, there should be one. Is there one there? Where? Where are you? Yeah? Stand up, let's see you. It's not your fault. Wozanas. Now, she won't admit this, but you know what they teach CAs? How to say no. The entire course of becoming a chartered accountant is just how to say no. The default is risk. You and me as entrepreneurs, our default is upside, opportunity. You walk into a space, you see something, you go, I'm going to make money here. All they see is risk, risk, risk. So I get a board. The chairperson of my investment committee, CA. The chairperson of my audit committee, CA. Hey, it's rough. Every single meeting starts becoming a fight. Why? Because I'm the guy that wants to do deals. I want to approve them. We get an opportunity to buy I don't know, I remember at the time we were working on a medical aid asset in Botswana. And I wanted to buy the asset, 200 million rand. I said, guys, we need to do this deal. All they see, risk, risk, risk. What I see, opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. And then I learned the reason why I'm saying to you, make sure you have a boss. If you can take the biggest critic and turn them into a person who sees the opportunity, then the opportunity is real. Because what you and I do as entrepreneurs is we get emotionally invested in stuff. You know, that's why you don't quit. You don't quit because, no, it's my business, man. Never say die. I watched that Vusi video. He says he slept in his car. I'm sleeping in my car. I will not die. Guys, there's a difference between endurance and suffering. These are not the same things. And so what you want around you are people who will actively say no. Because they will see the gaps in the things you want to do that you can't see. And it's not because you're not smart enough to see them, but you're too close to the action to see the wood from the trees. So if I can make one recommendation to every single person in this room that runs their own business, is make sure you've got a board around you. You know, this thing about boards, it sounds fancier than it is. You don't need, these fancy board companies, but you don't need that. What you need are 5 people that you can share your hopes and dreams with, have regular accountability conversations with, and they will keep you honest. That's all you need. The proviso, though, is 3 things. First, make sure you bring people into your circle who genuinely want to see you succeed. Now, this doesn't mean bring people into your circle who like you. There are many people who like you who don't want to see you succeed. In fact, I'd hazard to say most people who like you don't want to see you succeed. And there's a reason for that. It's because your success highlights their failure. It's a terrible sickness we suffer from. Terrible sickness. This idea that if you succeed, all of a sudden it means I'm less successful. So the first is make sure these are people that genuinely want to see you succeed. The second is make sure they look nothing like you. It's a tough one, Because people who look like you probably grew up like you, and they see the world exactly the way you see it. They hang around in the places you hang around. They're in the conversations you are in. They're going to the same spots, talking to the same people. So they can't bring a different lens or a different perspective to the conversation. Yeah? In my board, I've got my rabbi, so I've got a rabbi, old Jewish guy, old. And every time we have a problem, he finds a way to bring the Bible into it. And I'm like, but chief, we're talking about net profit. What does David versus Goliath in the valley have to do with net profit? Can we let's focus on net profit, right? The other day, you're going to love this. So the other day, I've been dealing with a particular problem. There's an asset we own back in Gauteng. It's an industrial company out in Nigel, employs 1,500 people. And because of COVID, in fact, in truth, long before COVID, the business was suffering. We had recapitalized it in part last year. So after COVID, we had to retrench 50% of the staff. Retrenching 700 people. I pray for you in this room, you never ever have to do that. And I chair the board of that particular outfit. So after we took the decision, I said to the CEO who runs it, Umanda, I said to him, call a meeting with the workers and I'll address them. It was the first time I saw Baba Omdala cry. When you have Omdala telling you that this job is all they've ever had, and where do they go now? So this ate me, I'm not going to lie. It chewed me up. So I have the conversation with Rabbi Mohsen, and we're talking about this. And he said something to me that was very powerful. He said, this is the point about how it's quirky, but it works. He said to me, if you read the Bible, excuse me for those of us who are not Christian, every time God references the valley, there's a struggle. And he said to me, 2020 has been a valley. So when David defeated Goliath, he invited Goliath to descend into the valley. Even in the prayer, it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. But it says, walk through the valley. So Rabbi Mohsen says to me, he says, if you think you can get to your destination without going on a valley, you are either immature or you don't have the guts to get to where you want to get to. And so the comment I'm making is, a religious man sitting on the board of a financial services company, for me, has become a great source of strength, even though he doesn't bring anything technical to the conversation. Doesn't get involved in the technical valuation stuff. Because you want that stuff done, you hire enough accountants and financiers, you'll get that stuff done. But what really builds you as a leader are people who can talk life into you. And then the third thing, which I think is important. I'm going to get personal, Chief. A little bit, No amount of money is worth good relationships. Now, look, when you come from where most of us come from, money seems like the answer to everything. But isn't it so funny? Have you ever noticed how the more money we have, the more problems we have? Hey? Today it's even worse. When you have money, they start looking for snakes in your car. Now there must be an anaconda somewhere. Somebody asked me if I have a snake. I said, I do, but I can't show it to you in public. We'd have to date first. Then you could meet my snake. It's a very powerful snake. It's brought a lot of happiness to the world. You got it, huh? You got it. It's my snake only has one eye, but I'm told other people's snakes. If the person next to you is not smiling, just explain. All right, no, they get it now. They get it. There's a lady at the back who was like, oh, ah. This is one of the reasons I love being black. You know, we say so much by saying not like, ah, yo, or my favorite, serious. Yeah, serious. So I was talking about this thing about how no amount of money is worth good relationships. Relationships will truly and honestly take you to every single place you want to go. You know, if I am to be completely honest, and my life is not an example by any stretch of the imagination, I want to be honest with every person in this room. Please don't for a distance look and think that it is what it looks like. Guys, nobody posts their failures on Instagram. Nobody. So whatever you're seeing, you're only seeing one version of the truth. You're seeing half the story. And by the way, the more successes people are posting, the more they're hiding. There's a lot of shit in this world. Trust me on this. So I just want to make the point. I don't for a second want to, if there is one thing God has taught me, it's do not put yourself out there as the purveyor of all wisdom or as if your life is perfect, because you are just as fallible as the next person. And I would hate to be in a position where tomorrow there was something about me that you discovered and you felt that I was less than perfect. Because I want to make it clear here today, I am many things. Perfect isn't one of them. I am human, I'm fallible, I make mistakes, I love, I live, I learn from other people, just like every other person in this room. But this thing about good relationships. So I've got 3 kids. I've been married for 12 years. You know, my last born, I only got to know over the past year. He's 3 years old. I missed the first 2 years of his life. And I missed it because I imagined, like most of you in this room, I thought what I was doing at the time was more important. So at the time, my office was in Sandton on Grayston, We've just moved to Bryanston. And I had 3 issues, and I'll share them with you if you commit that they stay in this room. The first issue was my business was near on collapsing. So the way my business is built is we invest. But the underlying success or value of your business is on the investments you're making, right? We had 2 big bets that we made. And remember, I'm not investing in the stock market, so it's not like I can buy a share and if the price drops, I sell it tomorrow. I buy into real businesses, bricks and mortar. I buy into entrepreneurs. That's what I'm buying into. We had 2 big bets. The founder suffered a heart attack, and we didn't have a succession plan. And then over a 6-month period, the revenues just started deteriorating. And as most things happen, revenues deteriorate, costs went up, stock started walking out of the floor. Employees were stealing. So you've got to deal with that issue. And even though you're an investor, if you don't deal with the issue, it impacts your investment. That was the first issue. The second issue was we bought into a business that was massively overvalued, but we didn't know. I've since learned, by the way, the value of doing a good due diligence. We bought in, loved the idea, loved the vision, loved what the entrepreneurs were doing. You know, if you buy an asset for 1 rand, and it turns out the asset is worth 40 cents, you've got a problem. Now, because we're regulated by the Prudential Authority, we have to submit our numbers every quarter. So we do a mark to market, we submit our numbers, and the Prudential Authority says to me, you've got 1 quarter. If you don't fix this, we're going to take over. I'll be honest with you in this room. At that time, I was probably on TV more than most times. I was being interviewed by newspapers, and the magazines were phoning me as a success. It's never what it looks like. Trust me on this. We walk into the room, we're smiling, but we're carrying a lot of crap. It's taken me what has been over a year to learn that I can be honest about my struggle and that that's okay. So around that time, I moved out of the house because my home is in one part of town and I drive 30 minutes without traffic to get to the office. And I bought an apartment that was literally right across my office. And I left. I was at the office before 7 o'clock every morning, and I didn't leave the office until 9 o'clock every night. At the same time, I'm still traveling the world and speaking, launched my 2nd book, which has now sold over 8,000 copies. You get it? Success is to the world, right? But inside, I'm finished. I'm out. My kids would come and see me at the office, and I would not leave the board meeting that I'm in. Not for 2 or 3 hours, they would wait at reception. Because in my mind, I was absolutely convinced that what I was doing, which is the biggest lie we tell ourselves, was for them. It wasn't. It was for me. It was for my ego. It was so that you don't pick up the newspaper tomorrow and they go, ooh, the great Vusi Tembekwayo. Shame. Sorry. Askis. And then right in the middle of the tragedy, the patron with whom I co-founded my company, Dr. Richard Maponya. For those of you who don't know, when we seeded the business was me and Dr. Richard, who were the seed investors. The co-founder of my company dies. So now I've got this 99-year-old man who's probably the most phenomenal black entrepreneur. In fact, screw it. He's probably the best entrepreneur South Africa has ever produced. Ever. I used to be able to call on him at 11 o'clock at night and go, you know, I'm dealing with this problem. What do I do? Gone. and then you stand alone at the altar of judgment. Now, I'm hoping that in sharing this personal story, there is a person in this room who is walking that fine line. You left to come here, and you and your partner are not talking. You probably weren't talking in the car. You're smiling in front of us, but to the people in your life, you are impossible, you are moody, you are difficult. There is no amount of money that is worth the wealth of your relationships. And I think we need to get into a space where we can begin to redefine what is true success. What's true success? How do we raise the next generation of leaders? How do we protect the family? And how do we breed young men and women who understand the value of good ethics, good manners, of speaking your mind and never being ill with your words or your heart? How do we do that? As our society, I think, has become so material, we've forgotten that those things matter. Dr. K, I want to close with these words. I know I've taken a fair bit of time. But I said when Mr. Kum invited me, I said to him, my experience has taught me that people actually don't come here for me in any event that I've ever spoken. It's generally because there's a question. So I said to him, what I'd love to do is to see if we can have an opportunity for a Q&A. So I want to very quickly close with just this, right? You coming to me or you? Right now? Oh, okay. Can't trust a light-skinned man with a beard. Hello, bone with a beard. Don't leave your lady with that guy. That guy. Bonke. So I hope that what I've said has shared some value. I hope that it's brought some sense of perspective. I'm happy to be wrong, but I'd love you to educate me where I am. So I want to leave you quickly with this. Make no mistake, you are graced with the most amazing opportunity. You are living in the best country at the best time of the world. Right? Now, I know that as I'm saying this, it sounds like motivational BS, right? Like, what is he talking about? So for those of you who've seen what's been happening with our economy, let me just tell you, we're at the bottom of the cycle. When you're in investments, they teach you something. It's called buy the dip. Do you know what that means? If you buy a stock at its highest price, it can only go down. So what you really want is to buy a stock at its lowest price because it can only go up. If you have money, this is the time to be investing in South Africa. I think so. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. 3 final thoughts, and then I'll leave them with you. The first is we're finally seeing our justice system work. We're seeing it. And it's not a political statement. All you have to do is turn on the news and you're seeing it every single day. The things you and I moaned about and complained about, the perilous state of corruption, we're seeing it being called to order. Is it at the scale it should be? I don't know. But the symbolism sometimes is more important than the quantum of the action. So, trust me on this. This is the time. Second, if you read history books, most people that make money because they buy at the bottom of the cycle, right? So when did Jeff Bezos start Amazon? 1999. What happened in 2000? The dot-com bubble. Literally starts an internet company when the internet is about to go belly up. When was Facebook started? 2007. What had happened around that same time? The global financial crisis. In fact, it started just before then, 2005. 07, 08, 09, GFC. It's come home to South Africa, because these are nice examples, but you can read about them on the Wall Street Journal. You know, South Africa, guys, creates businesses every 50 years. If you don't know this, this is just what the history tells us. 150 years ago, Standard Bank was founded, Stutterfords was founded, CNA was founded, Goldfields was founded. 150 years ago. 100 years ago, Anglo-Val Industries was founded, now known as AVI, which is a consumer services business. What today is known as Tiger Brands was founded just about 100 years ago. Santam was founded, Sanlam was founded, Metropolitan, Momentum, which today are MMI, were founded. 50 years ago, Dis-Chem was founded. Pick n Pay was founded. ShopRite was founded. You get the pattern? Every 50 years, our country builds businesses that are going to carry us for the next 50 years. That's the economic cycle of South Africa. But the last 50 years was just about 50 years ago, which means this is the next 50-year cycle. So the people who are building the next Dis-Chem, the next Ivan Salzman building Dis-Chem, the guy building the next Clicks, the person building the next, what might be a Volkskas Bank, which later becomes the Amalgamated Banks of South Africa. You know, the guy that's going to be the guy that funds those 4 entrepreneurs who are running, you guys don't know the story. It was 4 entrepreneurs who were funding sewage. You do know the story, right? Their main business was they were funding sewage infrastructure for municipalities. Now, sewage infrastructure is massive infrastructure. There's a lot of shit in the world. They were funding sewage, which, hey guys, if you want to make money, go to the dirty places where nobody goes. I promise you now, the businesses that make the most money are not Instagrammable. So, those 4 entrepreneurs, yeah, they start doing a little bit of deals called Rand Merchant. Then they meet with a funder who says to them, there's an opportunity for you guys to buy a banking license, and they become Rand Merchant Bank. And then they do a reverse takeover of a, Barclays is leaving South Africa, heat of apartheid. Barclays says we're going. But they've got retail banks everywhere. Somebody needs to take over the retail banks. Competition law prohibits the 3 main banks at the time to buy these retail banks. So these 4 entrepreneurs go and raise more money than their own business was worth. They buy Barclays retail stores and they rebrand them and call them FNB. Do you know why it's called FNB? Because in part the money was raised by a political affiliation to the National Party. It was the first bank funded by the National Party. First National Bank. Didn't know that, did you? So if you learn one thing from this place, it's that when everyone is leaving is the time to get in. When everyone's running, it's the time to come inside. When everyone is panicking, is exactly the time when you want to get involved and start building a business. Me, I'm raising more money. Why? Because there's more opportunity than I can find. Today, before they picked me up, the reason I was late, I was talking to a young lady, Gabriella Patrick, South African who now lives in the United Kingdom. She's building a fintech clearance platform wholesale for Africans. What that means is, for most of us here, if you're living in one part of the world, if you have a family member in Cuba or Canada or whatever, and they need to make remittances, they traditionally go through the traditional banks, which carries a fee and a levy. She's built an entire alternative asset using blockchain infrastructure, and now she's just gotten a clearance license. She's living in London, bringing money into the continent. Get into the business now, the valuation is maybe 16 million pounds. 10 years' time, that's a 200 million pound business. Because we need to get to a point where the money is not about you and me, but it's about making sure that we make enough money that our kids don't have to worry about where the money comes from. So the point I'm making is this is the time. Guys, that 15 years, we're living through it right now. I'm telling you now, the people building the next industrial businesses are doing it right now as we speak. So if you're ever finding yourself having those negative conversations, this is the time when you need to realize, actually, the opportunity is now. The opportunity is now. We're just about to close. I'm so excited. We're just about to close a mezz fund for a municipality that's working with a chamber. This is a true story. The chamber phones me up because I did a video that went viral where I said a lot of F words. You guys saw the video. You know, that video went viral. My mom phoned me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, does anybody else do this? Do you also have women, chaps, do you also have women in your lives who phone you just at the most odd hours of the evening? I've worked out why. It's because they know if they phone you during the day, you are wide awake. The lies are ready. Yabona? Yeah, makakufonela ngo-3 kusafanele ucabange lamanga ukuthi konje bengithe. Bake bakufonela ngo-2:30 bathi, baby, where are you? Konje, where am I supposed to be? Am I in Cape Town? Am I in Durban? Where am I? Konje ngithenga mina noThemba ne. Then you keep, baby, say you're Themba, say you're Themba. Keep it base. No, I'm joking. My mom phones me 3 o'clock in the morning. So the phone, and at first I thought it was an emergency. Hello. Sawubona Vusi. Guys, my full name is not Vusi. My full name is Vusi. My father's full name was Vusi. And my parents lost both of their first 2 kids. So my older sister, when she was born, my father named her Umbali. And then when I was born, he named me Umuzi because he always wanted another boy. And then my younger brother was born, he called him Umuzi. My full name is not Vusi. My brother and I together are Vusumuzi. It's beautiful, right? I know. See, I took after my dad. I'm a poet. General. Just under general. He's called Grand Sharp. So my mom phones me. She said, Sawubona Vusi, which is code. Every time my mother says that, I know I'm in trouble. Yebo ma. Then I just got a video on my WhatsApp. Now my mother never talks in English to me. So if she does, ziyash. A video ma. No, mama la pesontweni. Please translate. Who sent me the video? Oh. Hey, marantana muno hlazo man. How, ma? Why? She says to me, after the way I raised you, where did you learn to say that word so many times? For those of you who haven't seen the video, go and see it. Tough. So I was ending by saying that I think we're living in the greatest time ever. And I genuinely think we're capable, we're able, and we're equal to the task. But it's going to take some work, guys. It's not going to be easy. We're going to need to get involved. That's why we need the banks to get involved. Release the dry powder. You're sitting on too much capital. Even if you look at by the capital adequacy standards of the prudential authorities, the banks are sitting on way too much money. That money's got to come into the economy. We need the Reserve Bank to get involved. My own view is that our Reserve Bank can't have a narrow mandate about price stability. What's the point of price stability in an economy where 60% of young black people are unemployed? What's the point? So everybody needs to get involved. But if you're building a business, this is the time. You know, when you read the history books, they always talk about that one time people met in that room and they spoke and then things happened. Remember? This is the time. But what I wish for all of you, I wish you the vision to dream big and to recognize that in dreaming big, you're going to have a lot of people tell you you're too small to achieve those things. You know what else I wish for you? Haters. I genuinely wish you have haters. I wish you trend on Twitter by being attacked. I'll tell you why. Because people only pay attention if what you're doing actually works. I genuinely wish that you get to a point of success that is so visceral, people feel the need to hate you for it. Yeah? And the third thing I wish for you is I wish you courage. The courage to know the truth, to seek the truth, and to speak the truth. I'm so humbled that you've invited me here. I'm truly honored and privileged, and I'm looking forward to taking the M5 with me that you promised me. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Woow Vusi.